Hi, this is the Pipeline Security Americas meeting for March 30th, 2023. Okay, so on the agenda, there's like a lot of vacations, just to be aware of that. Lots of folks taking time off in the next few weeks. I'm also, oh, I didn't add myself. I'm also going to take off parts of spring break, so.
Me too.
Yeah, so cool. So yeah, that's just the big thing. Like I know Marcel is currently out. Returning, let's see, I think the 4th, he said maybe. So just a heads up. If you're not getting responses from someone lately, it seems like this is vacation season. So yeah, just a heads up. And then also as you're working along, just a reminder to please update your workflow status, because that means you don't have to hear from me, which, you know, some people like. So yeah, that's my big things. And then I don't know, did either of you get the chance to watch the video on the incident yet, the meeting?
Not yet.
Okay.
I read a lot, but I didn't watch the video.
I didn't watch the video yet either, but it seems like when there was an attempt to actually unlock all the things that were like, oh, those shouldn't be locked. That's what ultimately caused the problem, which also makes me like wonder how much old stuff we are sitting on.
And it sounds like even the database review process didn't catch it as it maybe it should have. So lots of things to think about, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess just if you think of anything that can help prevent this in the future, definitely let's get it added to the FCL issue.
So Jocelyn, is this something that like all the teams in Verify are looking at, or just us?
I think it's us, because this was from our end, but I think there's other people that are definitely looking at it. Like I know Meg, his verbalized on a couple of like Slack threads and stuff, right? Like so I think like we are taking like that first step of identifying like root cause and stuff, but it's definitely going to be greater than this team when we do I'm trying to remember there's like, I think there's like a corrective action or like a COE, I think that's going to follow this. So I think like a lot of other people will be involved too, especially if we're having a question of like, hey, should the database team have identified this in advance, right? So yeah. Like we are hopefully not trying to fix something in a void.
And even though we sort of own artifacts, everybody still relies on artifacts. So yeah.
The gift that never stops giving. I believe that's how I constantly describe it. So yeah, I think I was a little confused as to like what things should be stalled, but I do think the front end should be fine. I know Eric was trying to figure out whether or not skip copy work was on pause or not. Although I think he said that I think I saw in an earlier comment that he's gonna go back to working on that and unless needed. So I think we're good on front end. Cool. And then the other thing that we have here is the Azure integration. Someone on the Jihu team has been working on that. And so we just need to, I think, go through and make sure that everything that's being contributed actually does what it needs to. And so I know this is one that like our team hasn't been super involved in, but just heads up that that is in work. And we also will need to think about too how we can maybe adapt some of the things that were done with the Vault integration, this Azure integration, when we move forward to the AWS integration. So some good documentation there that Albert has linked, or what Max or Albert has linked for that integration, because we are going to still focus, I think, fairly heavily on the third-party integrations for a while. Cool. And then let's see, Albert had his discussion on secrets, OIDC, and the ID token, and posted his recording. Yeah. Vika, did you want to voice over?
Sure. I just thought like I'm adding my points to the big read-only section, but turns out the whole agenda is read-only today. Anyway, yeah, so I was trying to find a YAML file that I can use to test like when there's a manual job that requires a variable input to proceed to run. A form appears on the job logs page, and somehow I was just not able to find it. Then I resorted to Slack. We had a discussion on the Verify channel, and then Lee also helped. And I have created a sample project in the CI samples so that it doesn't get lost again, and we have something always. And the next point is Jocelyn and I, we used our previous one-on-one to work on a vision statement for our group, which is like yet to be updated to the handbook. So this is our new vision. We enable organizations to adopt good practices for secure handling of their sensitive information and data. And below that is a Mural link, like the Mural sort of template that we use to have the discussion. Yeah, nothing as interesting as the incident going on, but that's what I had.
And then I know I posted it in the group Slack, but I had a hour-long session with Dove this morning to really like cover variables, like basically like, you know, share everything in your head about variables. And so it's actually really it was a really helpful session, kind of walking through like all the different ways customers can access the variables, and also like kind of where we might see people using variables as secrets, and like kind of some of those, right, like behaviors that we want to work on correcting. And so it's a lot, but definitely if you get the chance, you know, you can 1.5, 2x speed it and power through it, because it does show like a lot about like, oh, here are like the, you know, 5 different places people can make updates to variables. And I think like there's definitely a lot of reason why there's confusion around variables and precedents. And so longer term, like we might even consider like, how do we want to, I say, clean up the rules maybe? Because yeah, I'm looking at the examples and I can see why people are confused.
Yeah, and that made me wonder, like, there are many improvements, and we of course have many issues that are existing. But I mean, when we were doing this benchmarking study for the teams in Verify, at this point, I would say there's nothing that's of very high value to us from that study that we can start focusing on. So would you consider, like, I don't know what the plan is, like, but would we have our own benchmarking study going forward?
I think we should consider it. My understanding is there probably is some stuff out there, like not necessarily a benchmarking study, but I think Jackie had alluded to a couple of other like bits of research. So we should see what's in there first. And then we probably should really think about a study if we're going to make, I'll say maybe some like larger changes. Like one of the things we talked about in our one-on-one was like, why can you set variables in like the settings page? Right, like some of those things like don't make
Yes.
sense. And that's something Dove and I talked about as well, which is like it doesn't make sense, but like people now know where it is. You know, how do we kind of like change that? And I mean, are we giving people too many places to go and set their variables in general? Like, because there's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So there is a lot that's what I was also like thinking about, that there's a lot, but how do we know which one we should like really focus on?
Yeah. And then like, I mean, maybe we can think about it differently, like custom variables versus like the predefined ones. Right, like maybe we can give people more flexibility with the custom ones, but like the predefined ones maybe need a little more, I don't know, I'll say control. Right, because if it's a predefined variable, like why are people always overwriting the values? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like the more I think about it, the less that makes sense to me. So I think like maybe we can dice it up into different, like maybe we need to look at variables and say, what are all the different kinds or use cases? And then like kind of start from there. Like we're not going to fix variables overnight.
Right. And the issue that I was recently looking at, which was like sort of giving a parity in treatment in the visual treatment of the two tables for variables. I think right now we have agreed on keeping the scope of the issue really small. And I think once the migration happens to Woo, we should be conducting a research first and then getting to other issues. Because I also saw that there are some very conflicting issues which are existing in a parallel. Like, this is good, but the other one says, oh no, this is bad, fix it. So we definitely need a research.
Yeah, I think we need to really like dig into like some of these different use cases because yeah, they're all over the board.
Yeah.
Or like, no, this proposal works better for me. Like, okay, like let's talk this through. And then we had a community contribution for another predefined variable this past week. And it's like, dude, we have a lot of predefined variables. So I think we do need to like spend some time and just like figure out like kind of what's a more clean way. How do we deal with things like inheritance of the variables and like who and when should people be allowed to make any of those changes?
Right.
So there's a lot, not gonna lie. But yeah, it was like a like waterfall of like
Right.
information this morning. So yeah, lots on variables. And I'm trying to decide if we want to actually break variables out as its own category. And my thought there is just because right now it's a feature of secrets management, but like we also kind of want to discourage our customers from using variables for secrets. So I feel like maybe having that split would be beneficial, but that's just a thought in progress. So cool. I'll write that down now. But yeah, did either of you have anything that you wanted to cover?
Yep.
Miranda, are we good for bulk delete?
I think so. Especially if front end is not participating in the feature change log next week, then we're better, I think.
Yeah, I don't understand like the things that we're doing on front end like really have no effect.
Not really, no. But I mean, if there was something to do for reliability, we could do it, but I don't know. In the past, we haven't really been affected by them, usually.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. And let's see, Beathika, you'll have your design issue ready to go. I'll do our recording next week. We'll see how the feature change lock affects what rolls over to 16.0 in terms of the backend work. But yeah, otherwise, I will start doing the group tagging on the issue.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me again. I'm going to do that immediately.
Okay, I thought that it was an accident that all the stuff was under the read only. I was like, oh,
yeah.
A lot of them do have recordings, but
so I was like, well. Awesome. All right. And I will also link the product direction showcase. I don't know. I know I saw it in the ops Slack channel, but I don't know if it made it to ours. So I'll make sure that that's visible. But I rambled for a bit about what I think our team's direction is, both short and long term. So I will make sure y'all have access to that. Cool. All right. Well, happy Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your days.
you do.
Bye.